You cannot live your life simply waiting for other people to enter and exit it. Hey babes, I'm Madeline.
And I'm Deja.
And welcome back to the Elegance Exchange. So today we are going to be talking about quotes that have changed our perspective. So these are just quotes that, it's kind of that like clicking moment. Whenever you listen to them, you read them, and then you're like, wait a minute.
They kind of like change your perspective.
Yeah. And honestly, it gets you thinking about like what you should be focusing on in life versus what you shouldn't be.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, we're going to start like fairly quick, not a long intro today. So I think one of my favorite ones is don't wait till you're confident to show up. Show up until you're confident. Because if you think about it, you are never going to go into a new situation feeling confident.
Mm-mm.
At least I'm not. I'm one of those chronic overthinkers that like I have to plan out everything. And so it's like you kind of have to go multiple times and show up for yourself in order to gain that confidence.
Mm-hmm. Or sometimes you feel like you have that imposter syndrome is gonna hit, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, I don't want to go anymore. Or you get nervous and you're like, no, I'm not gonna do it.
No.
And it's always like, oh, I'll do it like next time, like when I feel a lot better.
Yeah, but the problem is, like, you only live one life. If you were constantly putting things off and you were constantly waiting until you're confident, you're never going to be confident.
Mm-hmm.
You simply have to put yourself out there, We never would do half the stuff that we do now if we didn't just put our feet in the water and get wet,
exactly.
And start.
And, like, decide, like, hey, we're going to do this, And I feel like that's the case most of the time. Like, people are just scared to go, and then they wait. They constantly wait, and then they never get to do the things that they want to.
Absolutely. So another thing is only take advice from the people who you would actually want their life. So, I think a lot of people get a ton of criticism and you get in your head about it.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, why do they think this about me? Am I really like that? Blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, I'm not going to take advice from somebody whose life I don't want to live.
Mm-hmm. And it's always like that. And it's like we preach on our podcast, like, you are who you surround yourself with. So if you're going to ask someone, that's like asking someone that's failing in class, like, hey, what are you using to study?
Honestly, it is. If somebody is so miserable in their life that they have to comment on yours and tear you down, you don't want to live that type of life. You don't want to be miserable and tear other people down.
Yeah, it's like that saying, like, the blind leading the blind leading the blind,
Gosh, we have like that twin telepathy. Oh my goodness. Another quote is, changing is scary, but so is staying the same.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we get so afraid of change, and so, because it's comfortable.
Yeah, like, once you're comfortable, you don't feel the need to go and branch out on other things, and you don't feel the need to go and fix things.
Right, and, change might be uncomfortable, but so is staying the same and feeling miserable about yourself, If you are insecure about your body, if you are insecure about the way you talk or the way you look, the way you dress, if you are not changing, then you're going to be miserable. Yeah, you might be a little miserable doing that 20-minute workout that you don't want to do, but wouldn't you rather be miserable for a little bit and,
feel better afterwards?
Yeah, feel better in the long run. I know I would.
Mm-hmm.
I go on daily walks, and I don't necessarily love it every day, but it's better than feeling bad about myself.
Exactly. Or like sometimes I'll hit the gym and like, I don't want to be on the Stairmaster for 15 minutes, but boy, do I feel a lot better whenever I can say, oh yeah, I worked out for the day.
Right. So this next quote kind of leads into it. And whatever you aren't changing, you are actively choosing. So, this kind of made me think, because it's like, okay, I want to live a healthy lifestyle.
Right.
But if I am not, or if I am choosing to eat, fast food every single day, I'm actively choosing that lifestyle. That is not like I'm forced to. No, you are actively choosing it. Just like,
you saying like, oh, I want to go out and I want to do more things. Like I want to go on more adventures, but then you choose to stay at home and not go do things because you don't want to get out of bed.
You're choosing it.
Exactly. Like that's the way that things are going to be for you because you don't allow yourself to get up and go do things.
No, yeah. And it's kind of like you have to get out of that victim mindset, I think we've all been there where we're just like, oh, I'm the victim, like, I'm not choosing to do this, blah, 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 blah. And then it's like, okay, well, if your friends are making you miserable, you're choosing that lifestyle because you're not working either on that friendship or you're not getting out of that friendship.
Mm-hmm.
Same with like your relationship. It's just you have to like recognize that you cannot play the victim and you cannot be like, oh, well, this is just happening to me. No, you need to actively change it because otherwise you're choosing it.
Mm-hmm.
I saw another quote and it was talking about how busy women, sometimes we'll complain. We'll be like, oh my gosh, I'm so busy. I have all of this, blah, 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 blah. But then it's like you're working towards an end goal and this is exactly where you need to be in order to thrive and succeed.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like if you were sitting at home bed rotting all day, you'd feel miserable about yourself then too. You kind of just have to not choose to live the lifestyle that you don't want to live.
But you can't settle. Like, if you want bigger things, you have to work for those bigger things. You can't just be like, okay, well, I'm tired. Like, I'm not seeing anything. I'm just going to give up. Like, no, you have to branch out. You have to continue working for your goals because if you don't, you're not going to get anywhere.
Absolutely. And, this is another quote, but there's no difference between you and the people that you see achieving extraordinary things. They aren't special, but there's one thing they have figured out. They don't let the world around them derail them from their dreams.
Mm-hmm.
And that's from Mel Robbins, who is an amazing, self-improvement podcaster, advocator. Yeah, that's a good one. She, has so many amazing quotes, and I highly recommend that you go listen to her podcast if you kind of like this genre, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Because truthfully, that's the truth.
Exactly.
Honestly, people are successful because they don't care about what other people think. They put themselves out there anyway.
You know how many people, and like literally that's exactly what a lot of people say. It's just like, oh, like, how are you doing all this stuff? And it's like, oh, well, when I started, everyone hated me for it. Like, everyone thought it was cringy.
We get made fun of all the time.
Exactly. Like, everyone thinks it's cringy. Everyone thinks like, oh,
they're so weird.
Like, that's just a dream. Like, they're a little crazy.
That's not reality.
But then, like, once you actually accomplish it, then there's people, and they're like,
same people.
Exactly. The same people are going to be like, oh, hey, like, so how did you start? Or, like, how did you get this way? And it's just like, I didn't give up in the first place.
I didn't let you get to me.
Mm-hmm. And even like with the podcast, like you were saying, I was telling my younger sister yesterday, actually. And I was like, man, like, look how far we've come. Like, we literally started this a few months ago. And my sister was like, man, y'all are still going with this? And I was like, yeah, because we're serious about it. Like, we want to grow. We have goals to achieve. Like, of course we're serious about it.
Yeah. I think it's almost whenever you start seeing that success, it becomes rewarding, right? We are humans of habits, and we like seeing that success. And so getting comments from you guys, getting the likes, people telling us that what we are saying is truthfully helping them, that is a reward. Maybe you're a singer, and your music connects to other people. And so it makes it all worth it. Yeah, you might only have 100 followers, you might only have 100 listeners, but if you were sitting in a room full of people and there were 100 people listening to you, you'd feel honored.
Mm-hmm. Or it's the same thing, like if you play a sport or if you're on a team and you have that and like you see yourself and you're like practicing and you think you're pretty good, and then you have that one person, like that one younger individual that looks up to you and they're like, hey, like, I want to be you when I get older. Like, that's a big accomplishment itself,
Absolutely. You just have to think about it that way. Success is truthfully just for the people who stick to it. Nobody's truly that special. We're all humans. We all have the same habits. We all have the same tendencies, but it's just not letting other people get to your mind. We talked about in another episode, imposter syndrome is something that everybody deals with. Emma Watson dealt with imposter syndrome,
Albert Einstein did.
Yeah, and they're amazing people. So it's just, you have to get over that fear of failure within yourself or the fear of what other people are going to think about you.
Mm-hmm.
Because truthfully, when you think about it, how many times have you thought that somebody was silly for doing something in your head? But you still love that person. You still think they're amazing. You still think they're super cool, but you're like, oh, that's kind of silly, like what they're doing. It's nothing personal. You don't hate them. You don't think, like, you're not actively trying to think weird thoughts or stuff like that, but it's just what comes in your subconscious, and you can't let that bother you. You can't let it bother other people,
Mm-hmm. Or sometimes you get hit with the people that are like, oh, I could never do the things that you guys do. And it's like, what is that supposed to mean? Like, what are you implying by that?
Yeah, what are you implying? You just have to not care and get over it, you know?
And once you do, it's so rewarding. It's so freeing. Like, once you don't care about what other people think, it's like good. You know, you can move on and you can focus on your goals.
Yeah, and truthfully, your life isn't your life if you are constantly caring about what other people think of you. If you were living your life for other people, you weren't living your own life.
Like, say for instance, like if you feel the need to like change your whole perspective on things and like change your whole, you know, attitude and behavior towards a certain group of people because you want to fit in with them, that is not you. You're not staying true to yourself. You're trying to, you know, create this whole other person that you want to fit in with.
Yeah, we see on movies all the time, you know, that the parents want their kid to become a doctor, but the kid really loves, you know, painting or something with the arts. And, you know, they try and live this false reality for their parents, and then they're miserable. And once they start accepting who they, you know, should be and who they want to become, their life gets 10 times better instantly because they're living their lives for them. So, let's see. I have a bunch, but we won't go over all of them. I like this one because sometimes I think we get in our head about it. So, there's no wrong decision. Every choice that you make leads you exactly where you are meant to be. And I think that's very interesting. Same with, you know, anything that you don't get, you know, it's leading you exactly where you're supposed to be.
Exactly. And I know we can relate to that heavily.
Absolutely.
Because, you know, after high school, you know, senior year, everyone's talking about getting into these universities and everything. And then, you know, you have these really, really big dreams. And then I was really upset because I didn't get into the university that I wanted to. So I was like, well, dang, you know, like I'm going to fail the rest of my life. Like there's nothing worth doing anymore. Like, what am I going to do?
Right. I tried out for a sports team and I didn't make it. And honestly, it was the best thing that could have happened to either of us.
Exactly. And, you know, like, we went on a bunch of adventures. I feel like our friendship also, I feel like we're a lot closer now.
Closer. We started a podcast helping other people. I model, and if I would have gone to the school that I was thinking about going to, it was out of state, and I would not be allowed to sign with the agency that I'm currently with. And this agency has quite frankly changed my life. I've achieved the goals that I never thought I would. So, you know, everything happens for a reason. And sometimes when you get in that negative mindset and things that you don't want to happen, truthfully just know that better things are coming to you.
Let's be real. Like, you know, the situation sucks. Like, when you look back at it.
Absolutely. You're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, when you look back at it, like, I still have the video of me, like, receiving, like, me checking the application, just, like, me crying afterwards. Like, the situation sucks.
Absolutely.
But, like, in the long run, like now, like, a year from now, I can be like, you know, I'm so glad I didn't end up going.
Absolutely. Looking back on it, I would have been miserable. I was going there solely for that team, and I probably would not have enjoyed myself.
It really makes you wonder, like, what would my life be like if I was still, like, if I did get accepted, or if I, you know, was still in that same position.
Absolutely. Once a door closes, another one opens, and you really just have to try and look at the positive and understand that, you know, the best is coming.
You're just you may not be on the track that you wanted, but that just means that you are now on a track that is meant for you.
Yeah, and this aligns with another quote. So when things don't work out, I don't stress because I know better things are on the way. You know, truthfully, there are so many quotes about this because it's the truth. You know, it's how you should feel. It's not always easy, but it's honestly the harsh reality of it.
I know.
Better things are on the way.
like I've definitely developed the mindset of, like, life moves on. You know, life is gonna move on. Like, if this sucks, oh well, you know, I'm still going to be going out tomorrow and doing other things or working towards my goal. Or if this person leaves my life, you know.
It is what it is.
Exactly. Like, I'm going to continue going out.
Yeah. So, and that also leads us into another quote. Either I grow with you or I outgrow you, but I'm not standing still for anyone. You cannot live your life simply waiting for other people to enter and exit it, right? I don't live my life every day thinking of who I'm going to marry, you know? Yes, of course, that's a back thought in my mind, but it's not my whole personality. I'm not waiting for somebody to come and save me. I'm actively saving myself.
And it's kind of like that thing, too. It's like, if you wait for other people to do something, you're never going to be able to do it because you're constantly waiting on that person. And that person determines when you get to do the things you want to do.
Yeah. honestly, there's you in the future that, 10 years from now, you're going to be begging yourself, your present self, to enjoy the moment that you're currently living. If you're a teenager, I know a lot of high schoolers watch our podcast. If you were a teenager, you were only going to be, that teenage girl or that teenage boy once. You're only going to get to go to prom and homecoming and experience all the things once in your life, If you are so stuck in the future and you're like, oh, well, I'll be happy when I have this, this, and this.
Or I can't wait to grow up,
You're never going to be happy. And that's something that, I had to accept, because obviously we want to have yachts. We want to be rich. We
We
want
want to
to
have
be
cars
successful.
and mansions and
Absolutely. We want to help other people. But at the end of the day, if you can't be happy with yourself currently, you're never going to be happy ever. Because there's always going to be something else that you're trying to accomplish. It's like you're going to reach that goal and then you're going to diminish it because you automatically want something else.
Exactly. Like I tell my little brother, like my brother's going into high school and he's like, "Oh, I can't wait to graduate." I'm like, "You have 4 years ahead of you. Like you have 4 years of like pure memories."
Absolutely.
And like you're already excited to graduate high school.
And as bad as it sounds, I said that too. And I said that all throughout high school. And while yes, high school was not my favorite experience, I was not one of those people that, was like, oh my gosh, this is the best time of my life. I look back and I'm like, dang, like, I really wish I enjoyed, like, parades, or I really wish I enjoyed just walking in the halls, talking to my friends, going in between classes, or sitting with all of my friends at lunch. Because truthfully, when you grow up and you get out of high school, you don't see those friends every day. You don't get to sit with your friends every day and just talk about life and what happened and give them little life updates. You don't. So enjoy the time that you have with those friends.
And like you said, looking back at it, like you want to be able to say, like you want to be able to enjoy those memories. You want to be able to enjoy the memories and like not fear like the regret. Like you just want to be able to be like, oh, like I'm glad I was able to do this, and I'm glad I went and did that. You don't want to be like, oh, well, I wish I did this, and I wish I, did that.
So this is another quote pertaining to people, because I think that's honestly a lot of the stuff we get in our head the most about people. At least I know I do. So this one was really good. And it's, people don't have to like you. People don't have to love you. They don't even have to respect you. But when you look in the mirror, you better love what you see. And that's by Cheryl Lee Ralph. And honestly, that quote changed my perspective, because I went throughout high school thinking that people needed to respect me in order to take me seriously. People needed to love me. People needed to like me, And I didn't understand that when somebody told me, no, like, what are you talking about? People don't need to respect you. People don't need to like you. I didn't take them seriously. I was like, that's the stupidest thing ever. What are you talking about? I was like, if I'm working with somebody or if I'm somebody's captain, like, yeah, they gotta respect me. No, you have to respect yourself. You are an inner reflection of what other people are gonna see. So if you don't respect yourself, you can't expect other people to respect you.
And that was my big thing too, because every time, like, I think it's just high school. Like high school is really big because you start to realize, like you want people to like you, but then you realize that some people, not everyone is gonna like you.
You're gonna have to be the villain.
Exactly. Like everyone is, and everyone's different stories. But what also like stuck to me is like you also be aware of the people that are close to you and that do respect you as well. Because whenever you have the people that don't, it's like, well, I know myself better than anyone else does, and like I know I'm not the person that they try and paint me to be, and like I have other people that also love me for who I am.
Absolutely.
So it's kind of like that. You're just aware of who you are as an individual.
Yeah, and when people can't control you, they try and control how other people see you. And that's honestly, that's such a big thing, because if you got in a fight with somebody, they're automatically gonna run to anybody and everybody that knows you and try and diminish what you're saying to make themselves look better. And sometimes you just have to be like, okay, because the people that they're telling that to, they should know you. And if they choose to believe what that other person says, then they weren't your friend in the first place.
And they have no business staying in your life, quite frankly, as well.
No. So, yeah. And another quote is either I love you, wish you well, or you're irrelevant. Don't waste your time hating somebody. Don't waste your time despising somebody. You know, I have people in my life that I didn't like, or that I didn't like what they did to me. But you know what? I don't waste my time being like, oh my God, every single day. I don't wake up and I'm like, oh my God, I hate them. I hate what they did to me, blah, blah,
Or
blah.
I'm gonna plot and make their life miserable. Like that's such a terrible way to live. Like
I always think it's so funny whenever, you know, and obviously it depends on the situation, but I always think it's so funny whenever somebody stalks you, like on your Instagram, your Facebook, whatever. They stalk you to try and see what your life's doing, and no matter what, they're gonna try and diminish what you're doing. Because it's like you just need to block. Like, it's honestly, in a sense, it's pathetic because you just need to block them and move on. They're irrelevant to you now. They don't matter. Why are you sitting there judging somebody else? Like, it makes you more miserable. It might not seem like it. It might make you quote unquote feel better, but at the end of the day, it's making you not a good person. It's making you miserable, and it's honestly, they're not gonna know that you're doing that. So move on, block them, be done.
exactly. And like I feel like we all get a situation like that where someone will come in and they'll tell you all these things about yourself and you're like, I
haven't talked to you.
Exactly. It's like I don't talk to you. I have never talked to you.
Right.
Like the fact that
respectfully, you don't know me, and I've made it that way.
exactly. So what makes you think you can come and try and make me, you know?
Yeah, try and diminish my self-worth.
Exactly.
And honestly, it's the truth. Confidence is loud, or confidence is silent, insecurity is loud. You know? And there's a different, honestly, because I'm the first person to hype myself up, okay? Deja will tell you. Deja, you know, she literally said the other day something about how hot she was, and I was like, I'm turning into you, you know? But
worst fear, but
there's a difference between there's a difference between, you know, complimenting yourself and, you know, and loving on yourself versus you know, hating on somebody else. You know, if you are saying, oh my gosh, I look really good today, that's fine. You know, that's not reflecting insecurity. But if you are actively being like, oh my God, Deja looks so awful today, like I can't even believe that she wore that, that's insecurity.
exactly.
That's
Or like
insecurity is speaking loud.
or like if Madelyn's like, oh my God, like look at my haircut, and I'm like, oh, like
Yeah, like now that I don't want to mention it. No.
like,
Yeah, don't do that.
just don't be that type of person. Like you would think like to be kind and like you'd want to support other people and your friends, but like if you're constantly just like finding a way to bring them down, like it not only does it make you look bad, but it hurts the other person as well.
Absolutely, and they might not say anything, but that resentment's still going to be there. So, yeah, honestly, this was kind of a long episode, but I think it was one of our best ones yet. You know, it's something as you get older. I try not to go all podcaster mode on my younger friends or things like that because not everybody wants to hear it. But truthfully, when you get older, you learn a lot more guidance and you have a lot more faith in yourself and other people. And you learn these life lessons.
Exactly. I was telling Madelyn that actually on the way here, and I was like, I just feel like as you get old, like you hear these things when you're younger, and like you know, it's just
Like the
something.
shoe fits.
Exactly. Like it just comes in one ear and goes out the other. Like you don't really care when you're younger, but I feel like once you're older and you actually have like lessons and like other people, like you tend to learn more about life itself, and it kind of changes your perspective on everything. Not to sound like 80 years old, but like, you know, I do feel older and like I'm like, oh, like life is actually serious.
Yeah, life is actually kind of crazy. But yeah, and honestly, you taking the time to listen to this and to try and improve yourself, it just shows that, you know, you really care and that you're making a better life for yourself.
Yeah, you're on a really good path to what you deserve.
Yeah, to success. So we are on a bunch of different social media platforms.
We're on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, and our most popular ones that we're mostly active on is TikTok and YouTube.
Yeah, and honestly, we love seeing your comments. We love seeing your ideas and feedback. So definitely leave us a comment because seriously, I always send Deja a screenshot and I'm like, oh my God, look.
I always tell my parents, I'm like, look what we got
I'm
today.
like, Mom, look, you know. Because truthfully, it shows us that what we are doing matters and that other people care. So yeah, definitely leave us a comment. And with that being said, I hope you learned something today. We love you, babes.
Bye.